Whatever the reason, whether suddenly cancelled or more unsurprisingly so, these TV shows were recently given the chop by Netflix or whoever else. And yes, many of them are Netflix shows, much to fans' dismay. While there's the faint hope that one or two of them could move over to another network, historically speaking, such last-minute saves are pretty few and far between. But either way, I'm Gareth from WhatCulture.com, and here are 10 TV shows that just got cancelled. Number 10, Legends of Tomorrow. After 7 seasons comprising 110 episodes, the CW's Arrowverse series Legends of Tomorrow was just recently cancelled, less than 2 months after Season 7 finished airing. The decision left fans irate given that the final season concluded on a huge cliffhanger. Though considering that the show's ratings have steadily declined over the seasons, the outcome shouldn't have been wholly surprising. With Season 7's ratings literally a fraction of its viewership in earlier years, and rumours about its cancellation swirling after Season 6, not to forget the up-in-the-air future of the CW as a network altogether, this was unfortunate but not at all shocking. Legends of Tomorrow certainly had a solid innings, though it's a shame that fans didn't at least get a truncated final season, or even a feature-length special to decisively close things out. Number 9, Archive 81. Netflix's James Wan executive-produced supernatural horror series Archive 81, based on a 2016 podcast, premiered this past January to strong critical reviews, yet only managed to stay in the streamer's weekly top 10 TV shows for 3 weeks before dropping off. In late March, barely 2 months after its premiere, Netflix sadly confirmed that Archive 81 wouldn't be returning for a second season. And though no official reason was cited, one can presume its failure to catch on with a wider audience was the primary reason. Makes sense, to be honest. Yet the show's passionate fans were immediately outraged that Netflix cancelled another compelling, mystery-driven show on the cusp of a cliffhanger without giving it time to find an audience long-term. Given that the podcast itself ran for 3 seasons and 35 episodes, there was clearly the expectation that Netflix's show would last more than a mere 8-episode single season. But Netflix gonna Netflix. Number 8, Neighbours. Soap opera shows tend to have extremely long lives due to their relatively low cost of production and committed viewer bases. But the shock announcement was made back in March that legendary Australian soap Neighbours was being put out to pasture. Say it ain't so, man. Even if you've never seen an episode of Neighbours, you'll likely be aware that so many future Aussie stars began their careers on the show. To seriously name just a few, Russell Crowe, Guy Pearce, Ben Mendelsohn, Naomi Watts, Heath Ledger, Isla Fisher, Chris Hemsworth, Margot Robbie and Samara Weaving all appeared on the show. Neighbours seemed like a never-ending institution that would outlive all of us. But back in February, UK TV network Channel 5, which has largely funded the show since 2008, announced it would no longer be bankrolling or airing the soap. Production company Fremantle spent a month shopping Neighbours around to other networks without any luck. And so the surprising decision was made that after 37 years on the air, Neighbours would be imminently coming to an end. The soap's ratings have been steadily declining for years. And with many networks now focusing on producing their own dramatic content rather than acquiring existing IP, it seems that Neighbours' time just naturally ran out. Fremantle have promised that the show will go out with a bang, however, when its final ever episode airs on August 1st. We salute you, Neighbours. Number 7, Batwoman. The cancellation of the CW's Batwoman series won't come as a surprise to anyone that's been following the show at all. Though the series debuted to broadly positive reviews and acceptable ratings in 2019, it hit a major speed bump when lead Ruby Rose quit after the first season, later citing toxic work conditions as the primary motivating factor. Rose was replaced for the remaining 2 seasons by Javicia Leslie, who played an entirely new character. And though both Leslie and the second season received warm reviews, the fan response was considerably more polarizing. With Ruby Rose out, Batwoman's ratings fell off a cliff throughout Season 2 and never really recovered, regularly dipping below 500,000 viewers, something it never got close to doing in Season 1. The recent 3rd season, which aired in a new time slot, consisted of a truncated 13 episodes due to pandemic restrictions in Canada, and shortly after it completed airing, the CW confirmed that the show had been canned. Number 6, Raising Dion. This Michael B. Jordan executive-produced superhero drama, adapted from Dennis Liu's 2015 comic book and short film, premiered on Netflix in 2019 to solid reviews, and a belated second season was released this past February. Season 2 managed to stick around in Netflix's top 10 TV shows for a month before dropping out, which apparently wasn't enough for the streamer to roll the dice on a third. as they recently announced that Raising Dion had been cancelled. Given that few critics even bothered to review the second season, and it received wildly mixed feedback from fans, it seemingly just didn't amass the cultural cachet to be deemed continually worthwhile for Netflix. For an effects-heavy show that leaned heavily on the involvement of Michael B. Jordan, who appears in a few episodes, the streamer evidently was hoping for more. Number 5. Lock and Key. As much as Netflix has a tendency to cancel shows after 3 seasons, in the case of their fantasy horror series Lock and Key, it wasn't terribly surprising nor really that much of a problem. The first season was a solid ratings hit for Netflix back in early 2020, enough that they commissioned the second and third seasons to be filmed back to back, with the door seemingly left open for future installments. But with Season 2's ending making it clear that Season 3 will move beyond Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez's comic book source material, it wasn't a big shock when Netflix confirmed earlier this year that the third season will mark the end of the series' run. In fact, this is a rare case of Netflix actually having the foresight to plan things out in advance, and let the showrunners know that they'll be shutting things down after Season 3. As such, executive producers / co-showrunners Carlton Cuse and Meredith Averill have promised fans that Lock and Key will have a concrete resolution, rather than just abruptly ending as so many cancelled Netflix shows have. I'm still not over Glow, dammit. While it goes without saying that Lock and Key could have easily continued for more seasons, had its solid viewing figures continued, sometimes it's better to leave fans just wanting more. Number 4. GCPD. When Matt Reeves was midway through shooting The Batman in the summer of 2020, Warner Bros. Announced that a spin-off series focused on Gotham City PD was in the works. What could possibly go wrong? Reeves was set to collaborate with Boardwalk Empire creator Terrence Winter on a police procedural drama following a corrupt cop the year prior to the events of the recent movie. Winter ended up leaving the show a few months later amid creative differences though, and HBO reportedly had issues with the show being centered around a corrupt cop in the current political climate, hoping instead that Reeves would focus on existing comic book characters. Reeves and HBO evidently couldn't come to a compromise, and so the Gotham PD show was confirmed by Reeves to be cancelled mere days after the Batman's release. Reeves then added that he hoped to revisit the concept one day, and that the bones of the series may end up being shifted to a show focused around Arkham Asylum instead. Considering that The Batman is guaranteed to be one of 2022's highest grossing films, it's little surprise that Warner Bros. Wants to milk the IP for every drop it's worth. Though they're also conscious of a show that could generate much more controversy than it's worth. Wise move if you ask me. Number 3. The Babysitters Club. Netflix's adaptation of Anne M. Martin's legendary children's novel series The Babysitters Club premiered in the summer of 2020 to rave reviews. I'm starting to sound like a broken record, aren't I? Scoring a rare 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, with critics praising both its wholesome tone and success in updating the source material for a new generation. A second season was released late last year, which impressively repeated the 100% tomato meter score, yet facing hefty competition from third seasons of You and Sex Education, as well as hit limited series The Maid, it entered Netflix's top 10 TV chart at number 9, and dropped out after just a single week. Not that impressive at all, really. Despite this, many fans were still shocked that the universally acclaimed teen dramedy show was cancelled earlier this year. Series creator and showrunner Rachel Shukert said she was heartbroken by the decision, and a few days later expressed frustration at Netflix cancelling the show, despite it reportedly exceeding their viewership expectations. Shukert said, "I don't know what they wanted that they didn't get. I feel like Netflix's internal metrics can change month to month. Something that was fine 3 months ago is suddenly not what they need." Couldn't have said it better myself, to be honest. Number 2. Space Force. The Steve Carell starring sci-fi sitcom Space Force, there's a mouthful, co-created by Carell and the US office's Greg Daniels, got off to a pretty shaky start when he premiered on Netflix in 2020. Reviews out of the gate were mixed to negative, noting that the show failed to capitalize upon its all-star cast, also including John Malkovich, Ben Schwartz, Fred Willard, Jane Lynch, and Lisa Kudrow, or impressive production values. Basically, it was a watchable yet largely forgettable glossy sitcom that offered up uneven comedy and disappointingly unsophisticated political satire. Though many expected Space Force to be cancelled after just one season, it did indeed return earlier this year for a much improved second, which was received with considerably greater enthusiasm than the first. While still not a great show though, it felt like Carell and Daniels found firmer footing this time around. But alas, the underwhelming quality of Season 1 likely made Season 2 a soft priority for most Netflix subscribers. And so the second season only held a low spot in the streamer's weekly top 10 TV chart for a single week before dropping out entirely. The cost of the show versus its disappointing viewing figures has been widely accepted as the reason for its recent cancellation, though Greg Daniels continues to work with Netflix on other projects as part of his overall deal. So no bridges have been burnt. Had Space Force's first season reached the quality of its second, then perhaps things might have turned out differently. As cancel happy as Netflix has been as of late. Number 1. Pearl. Netflix once again has made numerous costly deals with high-profile public figures in recent years. Perhaps most famously a development deal with Barack and Michelle Obama back in 2018. Another big get was Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, who in 2020 signed a multi-year deal allegedly worth $100 million to produce content for the streaming platform. The couple's first planned project under Netflix was announced last summer as Pearl, an animated series centered around a 12-year-old girl who finds empowerment and inspiration from various prominent female historical figures. Yet, after almost a year of development, Netflix recently quietly cancelled the project, mere days after the company's stock dropped significantly due to losing subscribers for the first time in a decade. Though this cancellation does nothing to affect the duo's overall Netflix deal, and they've currently got various other projects on the docket with the streamer, it was still surprising to see a project backed by such a high-profile power couple abruptly snuffed out. But again, when it comes time to cancel, Netflix show no mercy. And that's our list of any other TV shows that just got cancelled. Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button while you're at it. Also, if you're into this kind of thing, then head on over to whatculture.com and find some more incredible articles just like the one this video you're watching right now is based on. I have been Gareth from whatculture.com. Thank you as always for clicking on this video today, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon. Bye bye.